Gleason here with Alex King and Daniel Mangina. Today is Tuesday, May the 19th, 2020, 4 p.m. New York time, or a little thereafter. And wherever you are in the world, thanks for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And we're happy to have a fourth person with us here today. One of our regular listeners, Josie, is going to be sharing some of her poetry with her. And she's excited. She's smiling. She's logged in. How's it going, Josie?
It's going good. Taking it a day at a time. Each day I wake up, I have breakfast and have tea and do some journaling. I'll go for a walk, watch some TV or movies, read a bit, and write a bit, and, go for another walk, do some nighttime journaling.
You're really dedicated. I mean, seriously, you are going after being in a good place no matter what's going on. Good for you.
Some days it's better than others.
Sure.
There are some days where I've cried. It's okay to cry, people. It releases emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And,
no doubt about it.
Especially the news, I try my best to stay away from the news. I mean, my mom has it on. I'll listen to some of it, but it upsets me. And for a while, I had a bad habit of checking the numbers, which, Joanna, I think your sister-in-law, because I know she's involved with statistics, she was saying not to trust all the sites with their numbers because
she didn't trust any of the numbers. Just point blank, she doesn't trust any of them because of the way the methodologies are so inaccurate.
And by the way, that question I asked, what's the impact of color on human psyche? I was referring to colors of clothing and surroundings, because
colors. Yeah, okay.
I was reading in this book Joyful by, I forget the name of the author, but she was talking about scientific studies on the impact of color on mood.
Yeah, well, and color certainly affects mood, doesn't it? I mean, I can just tell from what you're wearing. You're wearing these very brilliant red colors. I mean, clearly color is important to you.
Red's one of, if not my favorite color.
Yeah,
nice.
It's a very warm color, so that shows off a warm personality.
Thanks.
So you are into poetry, and you wrote something one time under one of our videos that kind of caught my attention, that you actually use our show for inspiration for your poetry?
Sometimes.
I mean, at all is amazing.
Yeah. What I like to do is I like to read New Age books, take notes, highlight, and then get conceptual inspiration from them.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's cool.
And, Neville Goddard quotes William Blake a lot.
Absolutely.
And that sort of inspired me to launch my Instagram page and YouTube channel for positive poems.
Okay.
And when I was in college, my senior year of college, I took a class called Theories of Personality, where there was a unit on humanistic psychology. And then I wrote an essay comparing the works of thinkers like Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow to the poetry of William Wordsworth.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not kidding. That was legit my favorite school project I ever did, because I learned so much about the human mind, and it made me want to learn more.
I can see how that has such a broad panoply of possibilities. I mean, Wordsworth and Maslow are not two names I normally put in the same sentence. So, I mean, when you're drawing connections there, you have lots of range.
When I was in college, I used to write fake college syllabi, and for one of them,
I love it.
One of them was I wrote a couple about humanistic psychology and literature, where students would read works by psychologists and compare them to books. Okay. And I really think that in the future, what English classes should do, in high schools and colleges, should be to they don't have to read the woo-woo stuff if they choose not to. But what I would like to see them do is connect the psychological text to the literary text, and in a psychological perspective for kids to understand more clearly about who they are and what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a big issue, because a lot of kids come through high school with no idea what they want to do and with very little idea of who they are. So certainly anything that contributes to that is going to be helpful. Personally, I think that Dan Mangaina's book should be included. I mean, maybe I'm a little biased,
Agreed.
but that's what I think.
I will accept this accolade. I was told once humility is a form of dishonesty, and so thank you.
You're welcome.
Listen, my life isn't perfect always. I have rough days sometimes, and I don't want to pretend like I'm an expert at LOA, because I'm not. I am a beginner. I am an amateur. I'm a student in the Earth School, as Gary Zukov says.
Okay. That's fair. That's good. Well, Sherlock Holmes described himself as an amateur. He was an amateur detective, So I actually think that amateur and expert actually belong in the same sentence. Because
that sounds like a good line in a poem.
Okay, well, take it. It's yours.
I think I'll quote you on that, Walt.
Okay. No, I really believe that's true. I think one of the things that's coming out of this whole COVID experience is a realization that experts are human beings, and it's probably not a good idea to put them up on pedestals. So kind of a counterbalance. Why not?
I know people give Dr. Fauci a hard time, but I feel bad for the guy.
It's a tough position. He can't win.
Like, just imagine him coming home to his wife being like, "Oh, what'd it say?"
Yeah, right. Well, that's the thing. Anybody who's ever been on a pedestal knows it's not a fun place to be.
And I think people aren't the only things humans put on pedestals.
Oh, absolutely.
I think like jobs and accolades and accomplishments. When I first graduated from college, you know how a lot of women experience postpartum depression?
Well, not personally, but I know what you mean.
Even though I have a job I love, I graduated with a job I love after college, I still experience post-grad depression because I had the belief that if I did not come out with a big epic novel by a certain time, then my talent would be wasted. Like, I was defining my self-worth by that because I thought I had to prove myself to my former teachers and my friends and family. And so I would force myself to write when I didn't want to, rather than going the effortless way, as Neville Goddard says. And then until recently, after a while, I realized that, ironically, taking breaks can actually be more productive because it naturally opens up the space for creative ideas to flow.
Sure.
I mean, this is not to say to be lazy. I mean, there have been a lot of times where, of course, after recharging my batteries, where writing something down, even if I fear people of what people will think or about the future, just releasing it makes me feel better. And
sure.
One thing I learned during this time is that it's not writing itself that caused me stress, but rather the fear of the outcome of what would happen after I write. Like, would people like it? Would people not? Should I be writing, or should I just take a break to allow ideas to flow, like how the LOA people say? Like, all these rules were going around in my head.
Mm-hmm.
But then but here's the thing. During my my break time, I watched a lot of funny stuff. Like I love SpongeBob.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I watch a lot of SpongeBob, Always Sunny, and like watching this stuff, I'm like, you know, the people who write these shows, they probably write this stuff and not care if it's a good continuity or not.
Well, look at the South Park.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was like a joke for them, but it's like one of the most
Yeah, I
successful.
realized that, like, you know, I can write for fun. You know, do it out of love, do it out of fun,
Exactly. Yeah.
and like write as if you're a little kid watching something that makes you laugh.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. That's good.
You know, Daniel, like you, I'm an individual on the autism spectrum. And, you know, I saw an article back, like a headline saying how kids on the autism spectrum relate to SpongeBob. And like some people theorize that SpongeBob might be on the spectrum. And I couldn't agree more, in a good way though. And so that's part of why I think SpongeBob is such a great role model, is that he's so positive.
I have to admit, I'm not like I think I've maybe watched one episode of SpongeBob ever in life. I feel quite ashamed now that I'm not supporting the whole section, sadly. But I'm gonna watch some more SpongeBob. But I do give you.
I think we lost Alex. I don't see her in the Zoom.
She'll relog in. I think she's probably either taking a call or had a recharge issue, but she'll log back in.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll watch for her.
She'll look back.
Okay.
Yeah, but I definitely hear where you're coming from, though, in terms of putting the pressure on yourself. I think this is one of the things that stops people taking a lot of positive action in their life, being caught up in other people's expectations, other people's beliefs, what's going to happen to this, rather than, like you said, doing it for the love.
Yes.
And even in terms of manifestation, being able to step out into something, having a clear guide on what we want to get from it in terms of how we feel, and then surrendering to the process, that's where the fun and the adventure in life really
versus extrinsic motivation, like what Joanna and Louis D'Souza talked about yesterday on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes I like to listen to podcasts while I eat my meals, and I'm a really slow eater, so I like to write in my notebook while listening to podcasts, like, you know, educate myself. Like I like to listen to Gaia TV episodes and take down notes.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. That's good. And you've ended up writing poetry that you felt good enough to share, because it was cool. You actually reached out to me. And, I mean, it wasn't like I was going to look for you. You reached out and said, "Hey, I've got some poetry." That meant you felt good about it. You felt good about what you wrote. You wanted to include it. You wanted to be part of the conversation. So I'm really intrigued. I know that all of us, Daniel, Alex, we're all intrigued, and listeners are intrigued too to find out.
Alex, you're back!
There's Alex. Yeah, she's hooking back in.
You missed my SpongeBob comment and Daniel's reaction.
Dang it.
I said that SpongeBob, in a good way, could be on the autism spectrum, and that he's also a good role model because he's so positive. He knows. Yep.
I totally agree. Sorry about that. My phone had died, and I thought I had it on the speed charger, but apparently it was the regular charger.
Ah, yes. Well, that happens.
So now I'm on the speed charger. So
you're back. That's the main thing.
Don't charge it off the wrong speed.
Trying to do Zoom while you're on 1%. That's the struggle.
Yeah.
Hashtag the 1%.
I don't know what most people mean by that, but okay. So share something with us. Give us a taste of what your poetry's like.
Well, I have a video of this. This is one of my newer. You know what? Actually, let me pull out my phone because it's on my Instagram page, but I don't have it printed. This is one of my older poems. Okay. How to write a book without really trying.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds like a good title.
Okay. It's weird searching for yourself.
That's fair. Well, tell you what, while I'll give you a
No,
little
I
moment
got
to.
it. I got it.
You got it? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. How to write a book without really trying. The best way to write a story is to do nothing. You're probably thinking, that's contradictory. When you keep saying, I need to write a novel, you'll continue feeling awful. Impatience creates resistance. Artistic creation you cannot force. Let manifestation run its course. Willpower will make you sour. You might be fearful as a writer to surrender. To be truthful, uncertainty is uncomfortable. Surrendering is not slacking. Surrendering is allowing. When you live in the now, you allow. When you stop being a fighter and you let the universe be your ghostwriter, you break the curse. When you release the need, you are at peace, freed. You place the seed, clear the field, creation and inspiration, you will yield. This spark is the mark. To see glory in your story, don't moan, let go, let it grow on its own. Unexpectedly, creativity will rise to your surprise, making you want to pursue, want to care, to the point where your endeavor won't feel like effort. Since the vision has reached completion, in the subconscious, the realization, the creation is effortless. Learn to love yourself. In turn, I guarantee you'll see a book on the shelf.
Wow. All right.
Nice.
Very nice.
Or the snapping, they usually...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. There we go. So, by the way, there was one line there that you uttered, and I had never heard that particular phrase before. I liked it. You said, willpower will make you sour. Ooh, yeah.
I made it up.
That's exactly right.
So, in coming up with rhymes, it is not easy. But it's fun to do because, you know, a lot of modern poetry doesn't rhyme. I'm not a lot of modern poetry, I'm not going to give names, but I'm not a fan of. Like, people write like this stupid stuff, and it's like, and then let's just say that it's on the shelves of Walmart, and
Okay.
Shots fired.
I should know. I shouldn't say.
Well, now we know for sure you have a position, you have a viewpoint, and you defend your viewpoint. And that's a good thing for a poet or any kind of author to do, because if you can't defend your viewpoint, you can't express it clearly. You know how to express it clearly.
Yes.
And that's the key thing. That was the biggest takeaway I took from your poem. You were not only, I mean, yes, you were doing rhyming, and obviously rhyming does take some practice, but you were using your structure to communicate. You weren't just throwing out random thoughts. There was a thread running through it, and that's the art, is creating that thread and making it clear enough that anybody following the poem can understand what the thread is.
Well, one of the narrations, bear with me. It's in my closet. I'm gonna go get it.
Okay.
This is totally unprofessional of me.
This is a very relaxed podcast.
Yeah.
Par for the course around here. Tell you what, I will do though. What's that, Daniel?
Here, I got it. This is
okay.
Poems that will change your life.
A lot of these poems have really, like the poets in here have been role models for my poetry. Like, one of them is Edgar A. Guest. He has some really good poems in here. Who else? Ella Wheeler Wilcox. She's good too. And
I have to ask, did the title actually live up to its title?
Similar to how...
Did the poems actually change your life? Because that's what the title of the book is.
I mean, they didn't change my life, like, woo! But they served as,
they were an influence.
as like, yeah. Yeah.
Stepping off point.
Right.
Yes.
How often does lasting change happen with a book? Normally,
it takes time. You know, Just like how I know it's cliche to compare growth to a plant, but it's a cliche because it's true.
Yeah, it's a pretty good comparison.
Plant, just how plants need time to grow. Humans do too.
Yeah. Well, if they didn't grow, they wouldn't.
Need time and harvest, as Neville Goddard says.
So, okay. Well, do you have something else to share with us?
Yes. This was my most recent poem. I did a video on it a couple days ago. I am light. I am light. I work day and night, doing whatever deed in times of need. I'm electricity, powering every city. I aid wait staff and table service. I light up every office. I light up the floors of all kinds of stores. I make way for transportation vehicles. I communicate through Morse code signals. I am the radiant sunshine, helping flowers bloom from the vine. I gleam from the crown of every tree. I am a source of vitamin D. I shine inside and out of crystals with my divine sparkles. I am clarity, I am unity, but I cannot talk about my spark without first thanking the dark. I cannot go on any pilgrimage without my mirror image.
Very nice. All right.
I like that. I
like the fact that basically you did a poem about what I would call source energy, which is really cool.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
That was one of the hashtags I used when I shared it.
Yeah. I can't actually. I'm sure there are other poems that have done that, but that's the first one I can think of. So that's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, Gary Zukov has a chapter in here called Light, and that was one of the inspirations for that poem.
Okay. Yeah.
And what I do when I highlight these books is that the stuff about like negativity, ironically, I highlight in yellow, and then the stuff about positivity, I highlight in pink because, I'm a girl. I like pink.
Interesting thing about pink, by the way, you may not know this. Back in the 19th century, the colors were reversed.
What? You
know
mean
that?
Blue was for
Pink,
girls
pink
and
was
pink
the
was
blue
for
color,
boys?
and blue was the girl color. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of come full circle, hasn't it?
It kind of has, yeah. Well,
My
it's gone all around your head. I mean,
I remember one time there was like there was a commercial on Nickelodeon saying that like only a true man wears pink.
Oh, really? I didn't see that one.
Yep, I remember that.
Oh my God!
Yep. My brother follows that to the T. He is a very salmon-colored man.
Salmon.
He does the salmon. He does the corals.
They don't like to call it pink though. They say salmon.
Yeah. I mean, he lives in Miami, so it's par for the course.
Yeah, that's almost normal there.
I am about that southern life. I'm very much the.
You're all about that salmon life.
I can't. I am. I've got some tailored salmon shirts, but I feel comfortable enough. But this was pre-Olga though. I haven't really been about the pink life since.
Well,
then.
who said that pink has to determine gender? Like colors. No. I know. I'm just saying, like.
I'm expecting it.
We're not going to use the W word right now.
No, colors are non-binary.
No.
Then leave it at that.
Yes.
They're just colors, people.
It's
like I was telling my niece was telling me the other day. She's like, "I'm so mad." I said, "Why are you mad?" She said, "Because I like rainbows, but I'm not gay, so I can't put rainbows on my Instagram." And I'm like, "Wow, sorry, I didn't choose it. I don't know what to tell you." I'm like, you can put rainbows on there if you want to. It has nothing to do with anything.
And that's another thing. When I write, sometimes I would worry about like, or is this culturally appropriate? Like if I decide to include like a love story, because like a lot of personal growth circles and feminist circles talk about loving yourself before you love others. I mean, that I definitely think that's true. But what bothers me is when people consider it misogynistic or like unfeminist for a girl to be in a relationship with a guy because it's, quote, not independent. You know what I mean?
I love the air quotes. I can't.
So that was another rule that I decided to smack out of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's 2020. We're over that.
Sorry, that's a stupid analogy. And worrying about rules is another major form of writer's block.
Mm.
And speaking of rainbows, I have another poem called To All the New Rainbow Children.
Ooh.
Well, I came up with this because there's the indigo children and the crystal children. And then they say that the next generation of those psychic children is the rainbow children. And so that, and they're saying that, there's going to be a COVID baby boom. And
there is.
Yeah, and my cousin just had it.
My gyno told me that.
my cousin just had a baby, and a friend of my brother's just had a baby, and my neighbor, she was due a couple days ago, but I don't think she's given birth yet. And so, I mean, by the time she's watching this video, I think she probably has given birth. So congrats,
Okay.
Carrie. But anyway, the poem I wrote in celebration of that is called To All the New Rainbow Children.
Okay.
Arrival of new individuals, new students on the School of Earth, creating miracles from conception and birth. Sensitive, yet also intuitive, the rainbow children are here to turn us away from fear towards wonder and play. They don't follow any rule. They use their imagination, for in the Earth School, that's the best education. As their name implies, they experience all the color strips, all the smiles, laughs, tears, and cries as they develop relationships with those around them. Teachers, friends, and families broaden the spectrum of their magnificent abilities. They hold the mirror to our inner truth, and that is our inner youth.
Very nice. Ooh. I
That
like
works.
I like how uplifting your poems are. I mean, you know how I am about your daily dose of happy. That's my big thing.
Yes.
And that's what I'm feeling from your poetry.
Well,
Very uplifting.
Well, your people, one of the when COVID, well, I was actually I made a few videos before the outbreak, but the outbreak really prompted me to make more because I knew that people were going through a hard time, and I wanted to cheer them up because I wanted to be cheered up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why when the outbreak first started, I said to myself, I'm only watching comedies.
Good
That's
for
how
you.
you do it.
But surprisingly, I actually love horror movies, despite you guys thinking I'm a positive person. I love horror movies.
Wait, that's just blowing my nugget a little bit. I like bread, I like poetry, and I like a little bit of butter on screen.
I love the movie Hereditary. It's one of my favorite, most recent.
Neither can I.
Did anyone see that film Signs? Did anyone watch the film Signs?
Yeah.
With Mel Gibson
I
and
did.
Joaquin Phoenix?
Mm-hmm.
There was one scene, the one scene where they show the aliens walking in. I'm already getting goosebumps thinking about it.
Yeah,
No,
same.
I know a few of you are Harry Potter fans.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
You are talking to the Temple of Harry Potter initiates. We are the high priestess of the Temple of Potter.
I was never a huge Potterhead, but I liked the first two movies, particularly the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I was little, the second one scared me with the spiders and the snake. When the people were petrified, I was like, oh my God, so scary.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, the funny thing is that when I was younger, even if a scene scared me, I was propelled to watch it again because I liked the thrill.
Well, that's just it. I think that's why horror movies are so popular. exactly for the reason you just described. Not that people want to live that experience, but because they like the thrill.
It's like a roller coaster ride.
I was just going to say that. It's the roller coaster effect.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
No,
I don't
thank
do
you.
roller coasters or horror films. No. No.
I do
no.
roller coasters.
I don't like that jumpy feeling in my stomach. Mm-mm.
Well,
Me and Olga went to Coney Island in the last summer.
But saying that you're scared of horror movies does not make you a chicken. It means you're brave because you're admitting your vulnerability.
Exactly.
As Brene Brown says.
Oh, man.
No, I'm never ashamed of being a giant scaredy cat. Not at all.
And let's be perfectly honest, everybody likes different kinds of stuff. I mean, I was never much into horror. I would walk into a horror film and just start laughing, and I had to leave because I was ruining it for everybody else, so I just couldn't stay. But I love, like, detective stories, murder mysteries. Now, is that really all that different? It doesn't have the graphic stuff in front of you where it's like,
did any of you see Parasite?
No.
I have not seen Parasite.
No.
So good.
No. Not once, not never.
It's not on my list. Sorry.
It's okay.
Well, it's on another list, the one that I'm not watching.
Right?
The pass is hard on that
it's
one.
a hard pass for Alex.
Which is unusual.
No.
There isn't a whole lot you will watch.
You know what we should do? You know what we should do? Like, if I come back, we should do like spiritual. I meant to, like, spiritual movie analysis kind of, because on Gaia TV, Jay Dyer and Jay Widener had a show called Hollywood Decoded, where they would analyze specific movies and talk about the esoteric meanings in them. It would be cool if you guys, and maybe call me if you want some, contribution. Like, we take a movie and then analyze, like, the LOA or conscious creator meanings in it.
Like that. Well, didn't we do that with What Dreams May Come? I think we did it like a year ago, something like that.
Yeah, we've done a few movies. We've done a lot of books, but occasionally we've done a movie. Yeah, and movies can have the same kind of impact, no doubt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big facts.
I mean, just quickly, let's name a few. What are your favorite? What we'll call generically a spiritual movie. What's your favorite spiritual movie?
Well, I don't know if I would call it spiritual per se, but, when I was little, I loved The Land Before Time.
Oh.
And,
right?
Yes. I'm telling you, the Don Bluth Universal animated movies, like Land Before Time, An American Tail, I liked some of those better than, like, the regular Disney animated movies.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were uplifting, but they also showed the hardships of life.
Right. They showed reality.
You know what I mean?
I like that. That's good.
It was like a little too hardcore for Disney, so they had to soften it up and do it again.
I haven't seen it.
Oh man, Land Before Time? Classic.
Yeah, it might have been when
1988.
Was it?
Yeah.
I was in no, there was no Land Before Time in my
Yeah.
Isn't that the one with the dinosaurs? Where the dinosaurs are talking? Yeah, that one contradicts the Bible.
Yeah.
So sorry.
That wasn't happening. It's okay. It was. I remember that there was this documentary series created by this Christian scientist. You didn't see an air quote. Oh, sorry. Why did I just fake?
You snitched on yourself.
Expose myself. But the guy, the scientist, basically went on to show how, basically give biblical explanations for why science is wrong about dinosaurs.
Blasphemy.
Oh, look, I mean,
Wrong
like,
about
I don't.
how
When I watch it, I mean, I'm open to the possibility of dinosaurs, but I'm not like, this is real. You know what I mean?
It's just
I mean,
a
I
cartoon.
respect
It's okay.
your beliefs. Okay, let's not get into religion and politics. Not.
Well, in real terms, I mean, we could ask the question: how do
Well,
we know
that was always
dinosaurs
my
exist?
point.
Have
How
you ever
do
met
we
one?
know? Besides fossils.
I watched Jurassic Park.
That
when I
was
was a
another
kid.
movie my brother and I loved when we were kids. We would watch it over and over again.
I loved that one. I watched of the new reboots. I watched the first one, but I haven't seen the second one.
You know
Alex, is it
what?
good?
It just came in my mind. You know what movie illustrates an individual at a young age using their consciousness to a higher level? Matilda.
True.
Okay.
Very true. Yeah.
Matilda was boss.
I watch it every time it comes on. Not gonna lie.
It's on the list.
It's on the list. Which list is it on?
Yeah, which list?
Well, I suppose I should clarify. No, I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah. Yeah, no, I think you'll like Matilda Walt. I really do.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. I've got a couple of recommendations. Louis recommended Good Witch. I got to check that one out too.
The show or the movie?
Yeah. Well, I think he was talking about the show, but it could be either one of those.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into that.
As a Brit, I have to
Okay.
protest watching Matilda versus reading the book.
I like to read
Because
the
key
book
things
first too, Daniel. It's okay.
Key things have changed to Matilda that I don't think Rolly D would be very happy
Rolly
about.
D.
I like that.
Just saying.
That's one of those ongoing things, though.
Danny DeVito was a pleasant representation, but key things changed.
I mean, when it comes down to actually taking a book and putting it into a movie, you've already lost because you can't get more than a fifth of a book into a movie. There's just no way to do it. You have a certain amount of time to work with, and that's it.
Speaking of adaptations, I've been talking about Dune a lot in the chat. They're not adapting the entire book. I'm talking about the upcoming Dune in December. It's only the first half. And
They're making a new movie of Dune, is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's coming out in December.
Okay.
I read the book during quarantine.
There's something poetic about that.
Oh dear.
I'm not kidding. That's not meant to be a joke. I mean, it's like literally there's something poetic about that because Dune is a desert planet.
Yes.
I mean, they were basically on their own there, and that's what it feels like to be in quarantine. You feel like you're on your own.
Oh, okay, yes. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I mentioned like the Bene Gesserits, and then it connects to like Buddhist stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is sort of off topic, but like
we have a topic right now.
Right. When I journal, because journaling is very helpful for me in terms of gathering my ideas. When I journal at nighttime, I like to listen to music, calming music. I like to listen to this Icelandic band, Sigur Rós. They've really have just calming songs that I don't know if it's 528 hertz, but they could be using it without them being conscious or aware of it.
Sure. Why not?
I love movie soundtracks. There's a track at the end of the Blade Runner 2049 soundtrack. All the Best Memories Are Hers / Tears and Rain. That it's like when I hear it, it's so transcendental, and that's why I like to leave that song last when I journal. And then after that song plays, I like to put on like a meditation or some ambient sounds.
Do you? Everybody's going to have a different answer on this one, so obviously there's no wrong answer. But do you, in some ways, equate music and poetry? Do you feel like they cover much the same territory?
Sometimes I mean, they both have rhythms, and there's certainly a lot of lyrics that are poetic depending on the song. But I wouldn't call every form of music poetry.
Okay.
Because some lyrics are, just there are lyrics that are very poetic, and then there are lyrics that are, informal. Let's party and have a good time. Like, yeah, it's a great beat, but I don't consider it poetry. I mean, I don't mean to sound like snobby or pretentious, but like, you know what I mean?
Well, sometimes you have to sound snobby or pretentious in order to get your point across. It's a valid point. It's your perspective. Your perspective's always going to be valid.
Yep.
I mean, seriously, that's what it comes down to. And there are going to be people who don't like my perspective or your perspective or someone else's perspective, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's why it's your perspective.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Walt.
Yes, ma'am.
What are some of your favorite books? Like fiction. Fiction.
I am a Harry Potter fan. I enjoy all the books. I am not one of those who gets all upset about the movies diverging from the books, with one exception. And the exception is because I understand how difficult it is to make a movie, particularly from the later books in the series, which were like, twice as thick as most encyclopedias. I mean, there's just no way you're going to get a good movie out of that. But my one objection to the way the Harry Potter books, at the last two books were put into the movies, is that they included some themes about especially in the 7th and 8th movie, about the relationship among the three main protagonists, Harry, Ron, and Hermione, and how their relationship had changed, and they're out in the forest, and they're basically fending for themselves. And there were very definite themes that were built up in the movie about that relationship. And they had the opportunity to play them in the movie, but they didn't. Mm-hmm. And that bothered me. I mean, I understand you can't fit everything in, but if you're going to put something in, be true to the book, is what I'm saying.
I agree, because I felt like
completely different.
I felt like that was the driest part of the movie. Was that the relationship, that there was something under there, but it wasn't enough. It
just didn't capture what was in the book.
Agreed.
What else? What other fiction books do you like? And Daniel and Alex, feel free to pitch in and talk about some of the books that you guys.
I have no favorite.
Yes, we don't
like
talk
Holmes
about Daniel's favorite things.
I've read all the Holmes books 3 or 4 times. I actually have used the writings of Doyle to help me understand my own thought process. I like to use some of his aphorisms. One of my favorite aphorisms from Doyle is the idea that when you have eliminated the improbable, whatever remains must be the truth. And it's a tough concept. It's an important concept within a detective novel, but it's also an important concept in life. Whenever you've removed the impossible, I said the quote wrong. Whenever you have removed the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth, is true. Mm-hmm. And it's a way of getting through to understanding how life, the universe, and everything works. It's how you kind of like water, work through your way through the rocks and the crevices to find out what's on the other side. You do it through that method of, it's not impossible. So even if it's improbable, there's truth there. I just have to find out what that truth is. I like that aphorism. So I really like the Holmes books, not just because they're fun fiction, but because I learned from them. I really applied them in my life.
That means that, it really transcends time.
Yes. And the Holmes series is actually a good example of that, because look how many different kinds of movies and television shows have been made based on Holmes over the years. Look at the current one with Cumberbatch in the lead role. So different from any of the ones before that, but it's excellent, and it's still true to Holmes.
That was a Cumberbatch Holmes?
Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch played Holmes.
Wait. Did Walt just tell me?
Hold on. TV timeout. Let me tell you something. He did not tell me about something about TV. He told me something about movies. Movies I am not an expert on. I am an expert on...
No, Cumberbatch is a TV show.
What? Cumberbatch? What?
Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch plays Holmes.
He's a movie star. What are y'all talking about? You know what? Good day.
He's starting with TV.
Y'all are canceled.
I'm gonna go in your Facebook group. Spoiler alert. It's like 5 seasons
What?
in or something.
Okay, did not know
Daniel, you read any fiction?
Yes.
that.
Dismissive.
I just don't really get into it. I have read a couple.
I love it.
Well, I'll pick up the slack. Top 3 favorite books. Not in any particular order because I couldn't order them. They're all in the top 3. The Giver.
Amazing.
A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh, wow.
And then, of course, the Harry Potter series.
Okay.
Good picks.
Yep.
Okay.
I like, I don't know how to say this without coming off as a total snob.
Don't worry about it. Just go for it anyway.
Okay, I love Jane Eyre.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's just so before its time in that it depicted a heroine who learned to love herself first before committing to a romantic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that's why that's why I think that Jane Eyre is such a great role model for girls.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it's a novel about self-actualization as well as love.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Well, I really liked Dune. Dune was a really good book.
Mm-hmm.
Have you read all 3?
I just finished. No, the first one. I just read the first one.
Oh, okay. I'm curious to know, when you finish the other 2 books, let me know what your take is. Because I have to honestly say, Dune was interesting at first, and it kind of got a little bit...
people a lot of people online say that, like, the books written by his brother, Frank Herbert's brother, were, not so great. Watership Down. I love Watership Down.
I love that one. Yeah.
And I love the movie.
Yep. Yeah, that one I enjoyed a lot. That one I ought to revisit. I haven't read that one again.
What else? I love books by Mitch Albom.
I don't know him.
Five People You Meet in Heaven and The Timekeeper. Great stuff.
Love those. Well, the movies. I didn't read the books.
Alex works off the Cliff Notes.
Yep, definitely. That's how I wrote all my book reports, was from the back of my book. That's it.
I love it.
Mess them around and give me an oral report. I'll tell you what happened on the back of the book.
There's a joke. There's a joke I made one time. Nicholas Sparks invented Spark Notes.
Nicholas Sparks is the only person that can make me cry in a movie.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Piece of information there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you have someone that makes you cry in a movie, or something that makes you cry? Like something in a movie where you're like, okay, that's it. The tears are coming out now. You asked for it.
Well, the scene in Land Before Time where Littlefoot's mom gets crushed.
Oh God! Oh God!
I want to watch it now.
Bringing it back. It's coming back. Oh no. Oh no.
Okay, so we know it works for you as well.
Well, okay. First of all, I watched it when I was 1988, so I was 5. Okay, so But yeah, it all comes flooding back right now. Just Littlefoot.
Wow.
What about you?
Oh, geez. I actually I react with tears in situations where I can't point to a particular one right now that I can just point to, but where some major emotionally, usually positive shift happens. Well, I can think of one. It's from the movie about Alan Turing, The Imitation Game.
Imitation Game.
Yeah. At the point in the movie where they portray the breakthrough, where they actually break the Enigma code. And Benedict Cumberbatch as Alan Turing says, it turns out that Heil Hitler is all you need in order to be able to break the code. And that's like the major breakthrough, because they've been working through the entire movie trying to figure out how to break this code, and they finally did it. And they're all like stunned. They're amazed.
Oh, another one of my favorite books. It just came to Anne of Green Gables.
Oh, okay.
Classic.
Great series.
Yeah, sure.
Well, it's probably that. That was probably.
I've read hundreds of books, and of the hundreds of
You've
books
heard of
I've
none
read,
of ours.
there's maybe a dozen.
Listen, Daniel, we still like you. Don't worry.
There wasn't any doubt.
Well, I was loved before, so I'm not sure how I feel. There's like a downgrade.
I'm dying. Oh.
I think this is a good time to remind people who are not yet subscribers to become subscribers, don't you think? We picked the strangest times to make these little announcements, and this seems to be a good time.
Yeah.
To do it, so,
I was asking you guys about books you like, because I didn't just want to talk about myself. I wanted to, learn more about you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Because
now you know what it's like to be on a podcast where you're trying to keep the conversation going, right?
Yeah. You guys helped me through so much during this time.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's wonderful to hear. That's really, I mean, we love it whenever we get somebody sending us an email or a Facebook message or, text message or something like that. And it's just as good, if not better, to hear it live, this, talking to somebody. So, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we would do it anyway. Don't get me wrong. We would just do this if there was nobody listening, but it's so much better when we have that. It's just great. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah. I could tell you guys are always happy to have a guest. And, I feel very humbled to be on here, especially since I've been I listen to a lot of movie podcasts, and I always imagined, again, scripting, I always imagined myself joining, having a conversation on a podcast, talking about movies, and, it came true.
How about that?
Yep.
One more item on the list.
Scripting is another thing I like to do in my journaling.
Mm-hmm.
I like to, I like to script out news stories about COVID being over.
That's a good story. I like that one.
I like that too.
But what's interesting is that after scripting, even though it's not fully gone, after writing COVID, scripting down something like COVID cases decreased significantly. The case numbers are going down.
They are.
So reported.
Yep.
And another thing that's interesting is that I was writing a list. This was earlier during quarantine, a list of celebrity couples who could, have babies during this time. And two of those couples are now expecting. Cool.
There you go.
Yeah, I need to know who.
And what are your thoughts on numbers for this weekend?
No, I'm not. I don't do lottery.
No psychic does. That's the first thing they'll tell you.
There's just needy energy.
I don't care about celebrity
around it.
I don't do celebrity either. Here we are having a conversation.
Do a lottery every once in a while for amusement.
True.
I mean, it is funny.
Okay, well,
you gotta give it. It is funny on the screen when it says, "Sorry, you're a loser," just like the way it's written.
Would have been more interesting to know what the right numbers are. But I'd be very happy to hear about your other fortune-telling powers, which aren't as.
I'm not a psychic. I'm not.
Well, I think there are psychics who would disagree with that.
Maybe
it's funny. There was an episode I was watching. There was an episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia where there's a psychic and he's a phony, and then he tells them that their mom is still alive, and then they go to the grave to dig her up.
Oh God!
And then the dead body's there.
Oh no!
And then Frank, Danny DeVito's character, is like, I paid off the psychic. It was so funny.
get off the psychic.
Wow.
Oh dear.
All these programs I've missed, I'm telling
That's
you.
quite morbid.
We all got different tastes in
Really
humor.
quite
That's okay. That's fun.
wow.
My wife has said this to me from the day that we met. She says, I think I'm hysterical. Nobody else gets my humor. Except
Well,
I get her humor, and that's why.
She's only projecting her own insecurities then.
Well, if you heard her say it, you would wonder about that. You would kind of rethink
I'm sure
it.
your wife is a very nice woman. I would love to see her on the podcast one day.
Actually, she did the first podcast with me. The very first one, 7.5 years ago.
I heard you say.
Yeah. And she has been on occasionally. I have to admit, now, this is a little bit of an insecurity thing for her. Lately, she's been saying, the last few times I've been on the podcast, there were technical issues. I don't want to comment on anymore because every time I'm on, there are technical issues. And I said, well, you realize that's an LOA thing you're doing. I don't care.
Mm-hmm. I don't care.
Now, she's a psychologist, right? Or a psychotherapist?
A former psychotherapist. Yeah, she was in practice for about 10 years.
What does she do now, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, she runs the gardening business.
Oh, good for her.
When we're not in lockdown, that's the main income.
Right?
And she is pursuing, she just reached retirement age last year. So she is now kind of expanding her life and figuring out where she wants to go with it next.
Oh, how are your cats, by the way? I know you two have cats.
They're wonderful. Yeah, we got 2 black cats. And Joy is the outside cat. Joy is a male, actually. And Harmony.
Yeah, that's very confusing.
Yeah.
That's a very salmon name, I have to say.
But it fits him. I mean, I've said this before, but it fits him because if you interact with him in any way, he is the most joyful animal. Not just joyful cat. I mean, he's as excited as many dogs. That's how joyful he gets. And he's also.
Hi, Daniel. It was so nice. It was so nice to Zoom with you.
He's giving us the look. He won't even say it anymore.
Now,
you muted it.
And how's your dog? And
I'm
how's
not
your
going to
dog,
be around on
Alex?
Thursday.
Oh, I have 2 dogs and hold on, 5 cats.
Oh.
Yeah, she's got a menagerie.
Yeah.
Oh, before.
Jem and I just had cat kittens
I wanted
yesterday.
to show you this.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, it's a squishy.
Wow. He's
Well,
big.
Thank you so much for allowing me to come onto the podcast and
Our
read some
pleasure.
poems and talk
No
about
problem.
Thank you for sharing your
movies
poetry.
and books. Yep.
Seriously, you read some really nice poetry, really, really good,
Thank you so
uplifting
much.
stuff. And I'll tell you honestly, I'm not a big poetry fan, but you kind of just made me a fan today. So thank you. That was really good.
Welcome.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us. Okay. Well, that was an unusual hour, but it was fun. I'm not sure what the topic was. The topic, I think, was poetry, and then like poetry kind of goes in any direction you want to go in. So that's okay.
Yeah.
No, that's good. But thank you guys very much. Thanks for dropping in, Josie. Thank you, live streamers who were kind of very quiet today, but they were paying close attention, so that's good. Thank you especially to our podcast listeners as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everyone.